Hey there, welcome back to the channel, and today's all about video. Gonna do something a little different. I've done a couple of videos about different stations in Charlotte, and I decided I'd like to do one that gives you a little more overview or perspective. So this video is basically going to be all about the Charlotte Fire Department. So without any further ado, Charlotte Fire Department.
Battalion 2, Engines, 11, 27, 7, and 22, Investigator 1, Ladder 27, and Safety 1, House Fire, CO1 Maple Street, Army, Echo, Battalion 2, Engines, 11, 27, 7.
The city of Charlotte is a city in central North Carolina with a population of nearly 900,000, an area of a little over 300 square miles, and is currently the 15th largest city in the United States. First incorporated in 1768 as the town of Charlotte, also sometimes known as Charlottesburg or Charlottetown, the city grew modestly over its first 100+ years, with its population only reaching about 18,000 in 1900. By the Second World War, the city's population had increased to over 100,000. However, the real growth in the city began in the 1950s and 60s, growing from 134,000 in 1950 to more than 200,000 in 1960, and then reaching 395,000 by 1990. Since 1990, the city has experienced annual growth typically in the 3 to 4% range, which put it over 500,000 in population by 2000, nearly 750,000 by 2010, and reaching its current population of nearly 900,000. The City of Charlotte Fire Department followed a similar trajectory. Through most of the 1800s, was composed mainly of small volunteer groups, and it wasn't until around 1887 that several of those volunteer companies were merged and formed and went under the authority of the city and ultimately became the City of Charlotte Fire Department. While the history of the City of Charlotte Fire Department could make an interesting video in and of itself, and in fact, that may be a future video, for the purpose of this all about video, we're going to skip ahead and simply talk about the City of Charlotte Fire Department as it exists today. The Charlotte Fire Department is a fully career fire department with approximately 1,230 full-time employees who provide fire suppression, EMS, technical rescue, hazardous material, and disaster response, as well as code enforcement, fire investigations, and public educations to the residents of the City of Charlotte. The department holds an international accreditation from the Commission on Fire Accreditation International. The department also currently maintains an ISO rating of Class 1. Functionally, the Office of the Fire Chief reports directly to the city manager for the city. Under the Fire Chief, there are 3 deputy chiefs. There is a deputy chief of operations overseeing the department's fire suppression operations, a deputy chief of business administration, which oversees emergency management, communications, info and technology, strategic planning and research, logistics, and facilities coordination. Also under that deputy chief is the fire marshal's office and the arson task force. The third deputy chief oversees personnel administration. Under that deputy chief are the department's human resources division, the training division, and the safety division. Under the deputy chiefs, the department has several division chiefs that also assist with the administration of the department's functions. Most of the division chiefs are part of operations and include a division chief for each shift, as well as a division chief for the airport and for special operations. There is also a division chief overseeing the emergency management unit and the training division. Like most departments, the City of Charlotte Fire Department dedicates most of its personnel to its operations division. Those operations personnel operate out of 43 fire stations located throughout the city, and the department staffs on a full-time basis 43 engine companies, 16 ladder companies, and 2 heavy rescue companies. Also under special operations with the 2 heavy rescue companies, the department also operates several hazmat companies, 6 aircraft fire and rescue companies, a dive rescue team, several urban search and rescue teams, 1 fireboat and 1 dive rescue boat that are both kept at Station 38, which has a boathouse on Lake Wiley directly behind the station. Operations personnel are assigned to one of 3 shifts within operations and work a modified 24-hour on, 48-hour off. More precisely, the shifts typically work 1 24-hour shift on, 1 day off, 1 day on, 2 days off, 1 day on, 1 day off, and then 1 day on with 4 days off. The department's engine, ladder, and rescue companies all maintain a minimum staffing of 4 personnel on duty at all times. Several of the specialty companies, such as the USAR team, the dive team, the hazmat teams, etc., are typically cross-manned by the engine, ladder, or rescue companies that are housed in the station where the specialty companies are housed. For the last 20 years, the apparatus used by the Charlotte Fire Department has become fairly standardized. Since the early 2000s, all of Charlotte's apparatus are built on Spartan chassis, with the engines and the ladders built by Smeal and the heavy rescue built by SVI. The engines and the ladders had become fairly standard, with the engines all being 2,000 GPM pumps, 500 gallons of water, and a 30-gallon foam tank. The ladders were all 105-foot rear mount straight stick aerials with a 2,000 GPM pump, 300 to 400 gallons of water depending upon the age of the truck, and a 30-gallon foam tank. In the last couple of years, the department has started to diversify their fleet a little bit to help ensure that the apparatus met the specific needs of the company. For example, Charlotte's engines assigned to hazmat companies, Station 13, 32, and 34, recently received hazmat support engines, which are a little larger and have a little extra storage space that allows the engines to carry some hazmat gear on their engines, which allows them to handle smaller hazmat incidences with the engine as opposed to responding with their larger specialty trucks, the hazmat or decon trucks. Similarly, in the last year, the department has purchased or is purchasing 4 new mid-mount platforms. Most of the ladder companies will remain with the straight stick. However, the department is assigning platform tower companies essentially to each of the 4 corners of the city. When all 4 tower ladders are in service, they will be assigned as Tower 3, Tower 18, Tower 26, and Tower 27. The platforms give the ladder companies a little more flexibility in certain types of operations. The department has at least 1, possibly 2 tillers on order, however, unsure of when they're going to arrive or where they will be assigned. And finally, in some of the most surprising news, the department recently ordered 10 new apparatus from Pierce. Those trucks, 7 Pierce Enforcers, will have 2,000 GPM pumps, 500 gallons of water, and a 30-gallon foam tank, and 3 Enforcer Ascendant rear mount aerials will have a 107-foot straight stick aerial. The last time the Charlotte Fire Department ordered this many Pierce apparatus was back in 1988. The department's operations are currently broken down into 8 battalions covering the city. With the planned addition of several companies in the near future, it is likely that Charlotte will add a 9th full-time battalion. Returning to our map, the current boundaries for the city of Charlotte are shown in light gray. To the west of downtown Charlotte, in yellow, is the Charlotte Douglas Airport. As you can see by the map, the city has reached the border of the county on the eastern and southern edges of the city. The majority of areas within Mecklenburg County that are not incorporated into the city of Charlotte have been incorporated into other towns, including Mint Hill, Matthews, Pineville to the south, and Huntersville, Cornelius, and Davidson to the north. The only significant area that can still be incorporated into the city of Charlotte is to the west, between the airport and the river, and then the southwest in the Palisades area. Those areas shown in white remain unincorporated. However, changes to North Carolina's incorporation statutes have made it really difficult for the city to actually annex those areas. I have added the location of the Charlotte Fire Department's current 43 stations on the map, each station indicated with a red diamond. The response areas for each of the battalions is then indicated with red shading, with Battalion 1 covering downtown and just east of downtown, the 2nd Battalion covering the northeast section of the city, the 3rd Battalion covers just west of downtown and north of the airport, the 4th Battalion covers the southeastern portion of the city, the 5th Battalion covers the southwestern portion of the city, the 6th Battalion serves the northern part of the city, the 7th Battalion covers the southern portion of the city, and then the 8th Battalion has the 2 airport fire stations along with Station 30, which is just south of the airport. In this last part of the video, I just want to briefly talk about some of the future plans for the department moving forward and its growth. While the city may have reached the extent of its possible expansion, it is still continuing to grow, and as a result, in recent years, the Charlotte Fire Department has continued adding stations. Several of those stations are infill stations, which are being built closer in the city and are helping address response issues or gaps. Stations 39, 42, and 43 are all examples of these infill stations the department has built in the last couple of years. The department currently has 5 new stations, either in the planning or building phase with the city. And I have noted the location of those 5 new projects on the map above. Station 44 is in the planning phase and is scheduled to go in the River District west of the airport on Dixie River Road. That area is actually scheduled to get a temporary facility, possibly as early as next year, and then looking at completing the station in another 2 years. Station 45 is currently under construction. That station is located on North Tryon Street near Eastway Drive, and that is another infill station that is designed to help cover the Hidden Valley area and relieve some of the load from stations 22, 27, and 15. That station is currently under construction, and once completed, the department plans to add a ladder company to that station. Station 46 is also in the planning phase, and that station is scheduled to go on Beatty's Ford Road near Miranda Road, covering the north end of the city and filling in a response gap between stations 25 and 28. That station is tentatively planned to be opening in 2027. In addition to those 3 new stations, the department is also planning to build 2 other stations to replace existing facilities. First, Station 30, which has been in a temporary facility since it was originally constructed more than 20 years ago. Station 30 was originally planned to be the second airport station when the airport expanded, and it, like Station 17, would be a dual company station with both aircraft rescue and firefighting apparatus and a structural company. However, once the expansion to the 3rd runway was completed, the department built a new station, Station 41, and Station 30 has remained a structural station just south of the airport. Moving that station farther down Beam Road toward Shopton Road will improve coverage in that southern part of the city between stations 38, 26, and 43. Station 30 is also expected to get Charlotte's electric fire truck, which was recently ordered, and that station will become an all-electric station. The other building project the department is doing is they are replacing Station 11. Station 11 is located just north of Uptown on 28th Street near Graham. That building is also 50-plus years old and now houses a rescue company, and as such, the building and facility is inadequate for the department's needs. Because the location was desirable, the plan now is for the department to tear down and then build a new station on the property. The new station would actually be a 4-bay station and large enough to accommodate both the engine and rescue companies that are assigned there. The department is also constantly assessing its responses and looking at areas where a second company might be added to help cut down on extended response times due to the busyness of single company stations. So, that's this quick all-about video all about the Charlotte Fire Department. Hopefully you found it interesting, and we'll put some of the station videos into a little more context. I'll be doing more all about Charlotte videos in the future, looking at some specific areas of the department and how they operate and the equipment they use. But otherwise, hopefully you found this video interesting and entertaining, and if so, I would ask you to give it the thumbs up, like, and subscribe. And otherwise, I'll just see you again in the next video. Thanks. Bye.